Betting against humans had become the universe's most reliable way to lose money, though nobody seemed willing to admit it. The Vescarti ambassador shifted all four of his upper manipulator arms in what passed for nervous tapping among his kind. His crystalline skin betrayed his anxiety with flickering patterns of amber and deep red, a dead giveaway to anyone who knew Vescarti physiology. Unfortunately for him, everyone in the luxury viewing pod knew Vescarti physiology. Still backing the Thoraxian champion? The question came from a creature that defied easy description, but settled comfortably into the category of things nightmares aspire to become. Officially, she was called High Curator Vex of the Malthorin Collective, though most beings preferred to think of her as that terrifying spider thing with the unsettling habit of being right about everything. The ambassador's crystalline skin shifted to a particularly violent shade of purple. The human cannot possibly win again? Vex's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Fascinating hypothesis. Care to explain it to the 17 previous champions who thought the same thing? Through the transparent aluminum viewing wall, the arena stretched out below them like some fever dream of ancient Rome. If Rome had been designed by beings with a fundamentally different relationship to physics and good taste. Over 97% of viewers here are watching without subscribing. Don't be one of them. Hit that subscribe button right now and join the journey. Every click helps us grow stronger, and you'll never miss the next epic story. The fighting pit itself was a masterwork of unnecessary complexity. Shifting gravity fields, environmental hazards that materialized without warning, and terrain that reconfigured itself every few minutes according to algorithms designed by sadists with advanced degrees in xenopsychology. In the center of this elaborate death trap, a human female stood over the twitching remains of what had once been the Thoraxian hegemony's most decorated warrior. She was breathing hard, bleeding from at least 3 visible wounds, and somehow managed to look bored. How is this possible? The ambassador's voice climbed several octaves. Galactic trained for 60 cycles in the combat academies of Thorax Prime. He mastered 14 different fighting disciplines. His carapace alone should have what? The human's voice carried clearly through the arena's amplification system. She had apparently heard the conversation. Another unnerving human trait. Should have protected him from pattern recognition? Because I hate to break it to you, Bugface, but your boy Galactic telegraphs his moves like he's sending formal invitations. The arena fell silent. Even the environmental hazards seemed to pause in respectful acknowledgement of the verbal evisceration that had just occurred. High Curator Vex made that clicking sound again, deeper this time. Ambassador, meet specimen designation Terra 7739, though she prefers the designation Commander Reed. She has been our guest for approximately 8 standard months and has demonstrated a remarkable talent for making highly trained killers look like enthusiastic amateurs. 8 months, the ambassador repeated slowly, and in that time she has killed 17 champions from 14 different worlds, finished a new voice. This belonged to Procurement Director Jal, whose species had evolved from something resembling a cross between a vulture and an accountant. All of them supposedly unbeatable, all of them convinced they understood human combat capabilities. Reed wiped blood from her lip and looked up at the viewing pod. Somehow, despite the distance, and the fact that the observation deck was supposedly invisible from the arena floor, she seemed to make direct eye contact with each of them in turn. "Any other volunteers?" she called out, because honestly, this is starting to feel less like Mortal Kombat and more like a particularly violent educational seminar on the flaws in your tactical thinking. The ambassador made a sound like grinding crystal. This is impossible. Humans were barely spacefaring when we, when the hegemony completed its expansion into the Sol system. They should not possess combat capabilities superior to species that have been perfecting warfare for millennia. "Ah," said Vex, settling back into her observation couch with evident satisfaction. "But that assumes you understand what combat capabilities actually are." "I have studied warfare for 300 cycles." "And that," interrupted Jal, "is precisely the problem." Reed began walking towards the arena exit, stepping over pieces of her latest opponent with casual indifference. The motion-sensitive gravity fields that were supposed to disorient combatants adjusted to her movement pattern as if they had been specifically programmed to accommodate her gait. "Notice," Vex continued, "how she moves through the arena. No wasted motion, no apparent awareness of the hazards, yet she never triggers them. This is not luck, Ambassador. This is adaptation. All combatants adapt." "All combatants try to adapt," corrected Jal. "Most fail. Those that succeed do so gradually, over many encounters, learning through repetition and loss. Humans skip the losing part entirely." The arena's reconfiguration sequence began, walls shifting and hazards realigning for the next match. Reed paused at the exit and turned back toward the viewing pod. "Same time tomorrow?" she called up. "I promise to try and make it last longer than 5 minutes this time, though, honestly, the quality of your champions has been disappointing lately." The ambassador's skin cycled through 3 different color patterns in rapid succession, a sign of severe psychological distress among his people. "How does she know where we are?" "She knows many things," Vex replied. "For instance, she knows that Director Jal has been embezzling from the prize pools. She knows that you, Ambassador, have been falsifying combat reports to make human victories appear less systematic than they actually are, and she knows that the hegemony has similar facilities in 17 other systems." The silence that followed this statement could have been bottled and sold as a weapon. How could she possibly? No classified information about military installations? Vex's mandibles performed what could only be described as a smile, if smiles were designed to induce immediate psychological trauma. Perhaps because humans excel at gathering intelligence as much as they excel at applying violence. Reed had reached the exit, but instead of leaving, she leaned against the doorframe and looked directly at their location again. "Hey, Vex," she called out, apparently having no difficulty at all with the supposedly soundproof nature of the viewing pod. "Tell your friends I appreciate the warm-up, but we both know this isn't really about entertainment anymore, is it?" The arena lights dimmed as the facility prepared for its next scheduled match, but Reed's voice carried clearly through the growing darkness. "See you tomorrow." "And Vex? Next time, maybe bring someone who actually wants to fight, instead of someone who just wants to die impressively." The exit sealed behind her with a hydraulic hiss that sounded distinctly final. The conference room existed in that peculiar state of institutional dread that transcended species barriers, a place where careers went to die, and where the coffee was universally terrible, regardless of what biological processes any given attendee used to metabolize stimulants. Security Chief Moorbach looked like someone had crossbred a rhinoceros with a filing cabinet and then given the result anxiety issues. His thick, armored hide was scarred from decades of putting down prisoner riots across a dozen different worlds. But today, he fidgeted with his data pad like a recruit facing his first performance review. "The isolation protocols are working," he announced to the assembled administrators, then paused. "Technically, Facility Director Ulara, whose species had evolved from something that managed to be both plant and predator simultaneously, rustled her frond-like appendages in disapproval. "Explain technically, Chief. The humans cannot communicate through conventional means. No verbal contact between cells, no physical interaction during exercise periods, no shared spaces except the arena itself." Morbeck's voice carried the flat precision of someone reciting facts he wished were lies. Yet somehow they coordinate. Coordinate how? This from Medical Supervisor Keth, whose multiple sensory organs were currently focused on a holographic display showing biometric data from the human quarters. Yesterday's match. Morbeck pulled up arena footage. Terra 7739 entered the combat zone wearing her hair in a specific pattern. Terra 6891, scheduled to fight 3 matches later, modified her hair to match. Terra 5012, fighting tomorrow, has already adopted the same configuration. The room's atmospheric recycling system seemed to grow louder in the silence. Hair, patterns, Director Yulara repeated slowly. You are suggesting that our security protocols are being circumvented by grooming habits. Among other things, Morbeck advanced the hologram to show multiple arena matches. Watch their movement patterns during the pre-fight ceremony. Terra 7739 touches her left shoulder, then her right hip, then stretches her arms in a specific sequence. Terra 8834, fighting 2 days later, performs the identical sequence. Supervisor Keth leaned forward, his optical clusters narrowing. This could be coincidence. Many species develop ritualistic behaviors under stress. Could be, Morbeck agreed. Except we have recordings of 47 different humans performing variations of these rituals over the past 6 weeks. Each variation corresponds to specific tactical approaches during combat. You are saying they are passing tactical information through ceremonial gestures. Director Yulara's fronds began changing color, a sign of deep concern among her people. I am saying they have developed a communication system that exists entirely within behaviors we classified as irrelevant. Morbeck switched to a different display. Exercise patterns, meal consumption habits, sleep positioning, even the way they breathe during meditation periods, all of it follows patterns that repeat across individuals who have never physically met. The medical supervisor studied his biometric readings more intently. The psychological profiles indicate that isolation should have broken them within weeks. Standard xenopsychological models show that 97% of sentient species experience complete mental breakdown when subjected to our containment protocols. The humans are not exhibiting breakdown indicators, Morbeck confirmed. Stress levels remain elevated but stable. No signs of depression, psychosis, or behavioral degradation. If anything, they appear to be getting stronger. Physically stronger? Asked Director Yulara. Mentally stronger, corrected Supervisor Keth, highlighting sections of his biometric data. Problem-solving indicators are increasing. Pattern recognition scores are off our measurement scales, and their adaptation rate. He trailed off, staring at his displays. Supervisor? Their adaptation rate exceeds anything in our xenobiological databases. We designed the arena hazards to require multiple exposures for pattern recognition. Most species need 15 to 20 encounters to develop reliable countermeasures. The humans are adapting after single exposures. Security Chief Morbeck brought up a tactical analysis chart. It gets worse. We have been running mathematical models on their combat performance. If the current trend continues, we will run out of viable opponents within 2 standard months. Then we acquire new opponents, Director Yulara suggested. From where? Morbeck's hide plates shifted, the equivalent of a human raising their eyebrows. We have already recruited champions from 43 different worlds. The humans have defeated representatives from every major military academy in the sector. Supervisor Keth looked up from his readings. Director, I need to report something else. The humans have been requesting books. Books? Educational materials? Technical manuals? Historical texts? They claim they are bored and want something to read during their confinement. and you have been providing these materials. Standard protocol allows for recreational reading to maintain psychological stability. However, Keth hesitated. They have specifically requested texts on xenobiological anatomy, interspecies psychology, and military tactics. The atmospheric recycling system seemed to grow even louder. Director Yulara's fronds had now shifted to a deep purple, the color associated with existential dread among her people. They are studying us. More than that, said Security Chief Morbach. I ran an analysis on their requested reading materials, cross-referenced with their combat performance improvements. The correlation is significant. Meaning they are not just fighting our champions, they are dissecting our champions. Every victory provides them with detailed information about species-specific vulnerabilities, psychological profiles, and tactical preferences. The room fell silent except for the increasingly oppressive hum of the life support systems. How long? Director Yulara asked quietly. Have we been inadvertently providing them with a comprehensive education in xenomilitary science? Security Chief Morbach consulted his datapad. 8 months, 14 days, 6 hours. Supervisor Keth added, during which time they have encountered and defeated representatives from every major species in the hegemony. And they remember everything, Morbach concluded. Every technique, every weakness, every tactical innovation. They are not just learning, they are building a database. Director Yulara's fronds had now turned completely black. Chief, I want you to send a priority communication to Hegemony Command. Tell them we have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind that makes me wonder whether we captured the humans or whether they captured us. Intercepted communications, it turned out, were considerably less entertaining when they contained existential threats to galactic civilization. Admiral Krex of the Hegemony Intelligence Division had mandibles that could crush titanium, but today they were grinding together with the nervous energy of someone discovering that their supposedly brilliant strategy was actually elaborate suicide. The holographic display in his command center showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, dotted with pulsing red indicators that represented what his staff euphemistically called irregularities. Report from Facility Omega-7 in the Canis Major Sector, announced Lieutenant Voss, whose species had evolved from aquatic predators and retained an unsettling habit of smiling with too many teeth. Human specimens have developed what appears to be a mathematical language based on prime number sequences tapped against cell walls. Facility designation? Entertainment complex. Luxury gambling establishment. The humans were supposed to be fighting in gladiatorial contests for the amusement of Centauran nobility. Admiral Krex studied the sector map. Current status? The Centaurans have stopped attending matches. Apparently, watching humans systematically deconstruct their champions has become psychologically disturbing. Lieutenant Voss consulted his data tablet. Also, the facility's entire security staff has requested transfers to other postings, preferably in different galaxies. Next report. Facility Sigma-12 in the Vega system. The humans have been placed in solitary confinement for the past 4 months. No contact with each other, no shared environments, meals delivered through automated systems. And they are somehow coordinating hunger strikes. All 47 specimens simultaneously refuse food for identical time periods, then resume eating in synchronized patterns. Admiral Krex felt something that might have been a migraine beginning to form behind his optical clusters. How is this possible without communication? Unknown. The facility's xenopsychologist has submitted a report concluding that humans may possess some form of collective consciousness that operates below our detection thresholds. Or, interrupted a new voice, they are simply better at this than we anticipated. The voice belonged to strategic analyst Knife, whose species had developed intelligence as a survival mechanism after spending several million years as the galaxy's preferred prey animal. This evolutionary history had given them an excellent ability to recognize when something was hunting them. Elaborate, analyst. Admiral, we have reports from 63 different facilities across 28 star systems. In every case, human specimens have exhibited behavioral patterns that exceed our predictive models. Knife activated a series of holographic displays showing statistical analyses. Consider the mathematics. I would prefer not to. We initially captured approximately 12,000 human survivors from various conflicts during the Sol system integration. These individuals were distributed across our entertainment network for the amusement of member species. Admiral Krex nodded. The distribution had been considered a masterstroke of resource management. Spreading the humans across multiple facilities prevented any single installation from becoming overly dependent on human gladiators, while ensuring maximum exposure to diverse alien combat techniques. Current data suggests that these 12,000 individuals are somehow maintaining coordinated behavioral patterns across interstellar distances. Knife highlighted specific facilities on the galactic map. Facility Alpha 9 reports that their humans have developed exercise routines that mirror those developed independently at Facility Theta 15, located 400 light-years away. Exercise routines, combat conditioning programs, strength training regimens, tactical movement drills, all developed simultaneously across multiple facilities with no possibility of direct communication. Lieutenant Voss added, Facility Beta 3 in the Rigel sector has reported that their human specimens have begun requesting the same educational materials that humans at 17 other facilities have also requested. Identical texts, identical subjects, identical reading orders. What subjects? Xenobiology, military engineering, interspecies psychology, quantum communications theory, and… Voss paused. Demographic data on hegemony member species. The command center's atmospheric recycling system seemed to develop an ominous quality. They are building profiles, Analyst Knife continued. Every facility that houses human specimens is inadvertently providing them with detailed intelligence about our military capabilities, technological limitations, and psychological vulnerabilities. But they remain isolated. Admiral, interrupted Lieutenant Voss, we have been monitoring long-range communications for anomalies, standard procedure for detecting unauthorized transmissions between facilities. And? We have detected no unauthorized transmissions. However, we have noticed irregularities in authorized communications. Admiral Krex felt his migraine intensifying. What kind of irregularities? Facility supply requests have begun following mathematical patterns. Maintenance schedules are being coordinated across multiple installations in ways that suggest centralized planning. Even administrative reports are being filed using linguistic structures that repeat across different sectors. Analyst Knife brought up a new display showing communication traffic analysis. Admiral, I believe the humans have infiltrated our administrative systems. That is impossible. Our security protocols are designed to prevent direct infiltration attempts, Knife agreed. But they are not designed to recognize influence operations that work through legitimate administrative channels. You are suggesting that humans have somehow compromised our staff? I am suggesting that humans have convinced our staff to unknowingly serve as communication relays. The command center fell silent except for the increasingly menacing hum of the life support systems. Lieutenant Voss activated another display. Admiral, there is something else. We have been analyzing the behavioral reports from facilities housing human specimens, cross-referencing them with historical data on human military operations from before the Sol system integration. Continue. The pattern matches suggest that the humans are not simply surviving imprisonment. They are conducting a comprehensive intelligence-gathering operation using our entertainment facilities as cover. Admiral Krex studied the galactic map with its 63 pulsing red indicators, each representing a facility where humans were supposedly being held for the amusement of hegemony member species. "How long?" he asked quietly. "Have we been unknowingly funding human military intelligence operations?" Analyst Knife consulted her calculations. Approximately 2 years, 7 months, and 16 days. And in that time, they have gained access to detailed information about every major species in the hegemony. Correct. Including our military capabilities, technological specifications, and strategic vulnerabilities. Also correct. Admiral Krex looked at the map again, and this time the red indicators seemed less like facility markers and more like targeting designators. "Send a priority alert to all hegemony command stations," he ordered. "Classification level, extinction event." Lieutenant Voss prepared the transmission protocols. "What should the alert contain, Admiral?" "Tell them we have a problem that makes our previous military disasters look like minor clerical errors." "And the nature of this problem?" "We have spent 2 years accidentally running the most comprehensive military academy in galactic history, and we just realized that all of our students have graduated." Supreme Commander Valthek had presided over the conquest of 47 star systems, the subjugation of 16 different species, and the construction of the largest military empire in recorded galactic history. None of these accomplishments had prepared him for the sensation of watching his life's work crumble in real time through a series of holographic displays that seemed designed specifically to induce cardiac arrest. "Emergency session of the Hegemony Supreme Command is now convened," he announced to the assembled military leadership, his voice carrying the hollow quality of someone delivering their own eulogy. "Intelligence Division, your report." Admiral Krex materialized via quantum entanglement from his deep space command vessel, his image flickering with the instability that came from transmitting across vast distances while under fire. "Supreme Commander, the situation has evolved beyond our most pessimistic projections." Define evolved. 37 hegemony installations have gone dark in the past 6 standard hours. The assembled commanders exchanged glances that could have powered starships through their sheer intensity of professional alarm. "Dark how?" demanded General Yolth, whose species had developed the capacity for extreme violence after spending eons as the galaxy's most efficient predators. "System failures? Equipment malfunction?" "Coordinated internal uprising," Admiral Krex replied. "Every facility housing human specimens experienced simultaneous security breaches at exactly 800 Galactic Standard Time." Fleet Admiral Zorkin, representing the Naval Division, leaned forward in his command chair. "Simultaneous across how large an area?" 17,000 light-years. The silence that followed could have been used as armor plating. Supreme Commander Valthek accessed his personal tactical displays, showing the current status of hegemony military assets. "Admiral, explain how prisoners with no external communication capabilities and no access to chronometric devices manage to coordinate actions across galactic distances." "Supreme Commander, our initial assessment was incorrect." Admiral Krex's image flickered as another explosion apparently rocked his command vessel. "The humans were never prisoners." Elaborate. "They were reconnaissance operatives conducting the largest intelligence-gathering operation in recorded history, and we provided them with comprehensive access to every aspect of hegemony military infrastructure." Strategic Operations Director Quellen, whose species had evolved analytical capabilities that bordered on precognition, activated a series of data projections. The entertainment facilities were not containment centers. They were training installations. Training for what? For this. Director Quellen's projections showed real-time tactical data from across the galaxy. The humans have activated coordinated military operations in every sector simultaneously. They are not escaping, Supreme Commander. They are deploying. General Yulth studied the tactical displays with the focused attention of a professional killer recognizing superior craftsmanship. These coordination patterns suggest preparation times measured in years, not hours. Correct. We estimate that planning for this operation began within weeks of their initial capture. Admiral Krex's transmission grew more unstable as weapons fire intensified around his position. Every aspect of their captivity was designed to gather intelligence while maintaining the appearance of compliance. Fleet Admiral Zorkon brought up naval deployment charts. Our fleet positions? Compromised. The humans had access to complete tactical briefings during their time as gladiatorial combatants. They know the location, capabilities, and weaknesses of every major military asset in the hegemony. Supreme Commander Valthek felt something that his species experienced only when facing imminent death. A cold clarity that replaced panic with analytical precision. What are their objectives? Director Quellen's projections shifted to show human operational patterns. Total infrastructure disruption. They are systematically targeting communication networks, supply lines, and command facilities. Military objectives? Unknown. Their tactical approach suggests they are not seeking to capture territory or assets. Director Quellen paused, studying the data more carefully. Supreme Commander, they appear to be conducting an elimination campaign. Against military targets? Against the hegemony itself. The assembled commanders absorbed this information with the collective enthusiasm of beings discovering that their worst nightmares had understated the situation. Casualties? Asked General Yulth. Admiral Krex consulted his tactical reports. Preliminary estimates suggest total personnel losses exceeding 40% across affected installations. However, the humans are not taking prisoners. They are executing captured personnel? They are not capturing personnel. Every engagement has resulted in complete facility destruction with no survivors. Fleet Admiral Zorkin studied the naval tactical displays. This suggests a strategic objective beyond simple military victory. Explain. They are not seeking to defeat the hegemony. They are seeking to ensure that the hegemony ceases to exist. Supreme Commander Valthek accessed priority communications from across the Empire, reading reports that painted an increasingly catastrophic picture of coordinated human operations. How many human operatives are we dealing with? All of them, replied Director Quellen simply. All of them? Every human specimen captured during the Sol system integration has been activated as a military asset. Estimated total, 12,000 combat operatives with comprehensive intelligence on hegemony capabilities and complete tactical surprise. Admiral Krex's transmission flickered again as massive explosions erupted in the background. Supreme Commander, I need to report something else. The humans have been broadcasting on all frequencies. Broadcasting what? A message. Same transmission, repeated across 17 different languages. Content? Single sentence. You should not have made it entertaining. The command center's environmental systems seemed to develop a distinctly funeral quality. General Yulth looked up from his tactical analyses. Supreme Commander, our options? Supreme Commander Valthek studied the holographic displays, showing the systematic dismantling of the greatest military empire in galactic history, accomplished by 12,000 individuals who had spent 2 years learning everything they needed to know while pretending to be entertainment. Our options, he said quietly, appear to be extinction or unconditional surrender. And if we choose surrender? I suspect, said Supreme Commander Valthek, watching another hegemony facility disappear from the tactical displays. That choice is no longer available. Admiral Krex's transmission cut out entirely as his command vessel joined the growing list of strategic assets that had ceased to exist. In the silence that followed, Supreme Commander Valthek contemplated the elegant irony of a civilization that had sought entertainment and had instead provided their enemies with the most comprehensive military education in galactic history. The last thought that crossed his mind, as human strike teams breached the Supreme Command facility, was that they had been absolutely right about one thing. It had been very entertaining indeed.